All right, let's see. Work is still underway. Spec is currently being iterated on to give some more information. Here are some points they want to address. More tightly adjust task control and Enrage uptime and Enrage income, both of which heavily impact pacing, flow, and feel to expect throughout the expansion rather than letting both scale up dramatically as gearing happens. Reduce the, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but yeah, you're still at the mercy of the haste, right? Because more haste means more bloodthirst. More bloodthirst means more enrage, right? Reduce the amount of stacking damage bonuses on spec that are available simultaneously. That hasn't happened yet, so I guess that might happen, which reduces the desire and need to stack multiple at once. I mean, I think this is actually hilarious for now. Hopefully they change it, but I hope Blizzard realizes they literally just put Avatar and Battlecry on the exact same cooldown timer, which is hilarious, right? We want to reduce the way that you can stack. Oh, we're going to put all the buffs on the same cooldown. What? So you can perfectly stack them, which now feels much worse to do now. Virtually all of them are on the global cooldown. Yes, but they made it feel this way. They created the problem. What? Oh, I can't read this. This bullet point I'm triggered. I'm so triggered by this shit. They made it feel bad. Figure out Fear Slash's place on the spec. I mean, it's a filler that you use less and less as you get. I don't think Fear Slash is that bad. I think what they're trying to say is that they're trying to give it more like strength. I guess that's fine, but it's all it is just a filler, I guess. It's just, this is just, I mean, they could take Fear Slash out of the game and we can go with like kind of like a rogue system where like you're not always hitting something, but I think people that play Fury want carpal tunnel, so I think they should keep it in there. Enrage. Getting mad and being better and stronger is definitely still the fantasy of Fury, and Enrage is staying as the spec's core mechanic base and mastery. However, Enrage is changing into 25% haste, still being adjusted. Oh yeah, put that to 35% and 10% movement speed. It's currently 100% melee attack on live. Yes, it was 50% on beta. Haste is something that's much more felt in terms of pacing, both button presses and cooldowns compressing compared to auto attack speed, which mostly get covered up by ability animation anyways. Okay, so this is, so they didn't get into, I guess I'll glance at it really quick. Okay, they don't get into the GCD part, but they need to realize the global cooldown thing that I just mentioned with how weird it feels. Yes, haste impacts pacing a lot, but currently it is not impacting pacing, in my opinion, in the correct way, right? It changes up your global cooldowns. It makes it so an ability that's generally able to be used every third attack sometimes now has to be used every fourth attack, depending on how your global cooldowns, like how you're when you lost that haste buff, right? Yes, gaining that haste buff feels nice, but Enrage only lasts 4 seconds in BFA. So just as frequently as you're gaining the Enrage, you're also losing the Enrage, right? I think Blizzard needs to realize that, yeah, it feels great when you gain the haste buff, but it also feels really shitty now when you lose it. So, and you don't feel that, you don't have that like awkwardness with auto attack, right? When your auto attacks increase, oh, okay, well, whatever. Like you don't really feel that as much. The only part that you feel when your auto attack increases is you generate rage slightly faster, but it's not as like obvious as how it currently feels like with the haste. So I do want to say that. The 20% increased damage taken during Enrage being removed. Great. That's good. I wanted this entirely Legion. It took an entire expansion to get this taken out. At least we're there. All right. Along with this, the 50% passive increase maximum health. The spec hat is also going away. Great. Now we can actually do Mythic Plus. Now we can actually, right, do mechanics. Now, of course, there's going to be changes to Mythic Plus mechanics. But, you know, if we look at, what's it called? BFA, Mythic plus affixes, and we kind of be like, okay, they're probably going to be something similar to Legion, right? There's going to be some things that are brought over. Great, because pretty much every single source of damage, not, I don't want to say like every sort of, the majority, I think, is probably a good a good way to capitalize them. The majority of Mythic plus affixes currently deal damage on a max HP basis. Why Blizzard did this? It makes sense because they had to do max HP or else tanks just shrug off all the damage, right? If Blizzard did a set damage, tanks would can just eat all the Mythic plus damage, right? In order to compensate for that, they had to do max HP. So that way tanks takes just as much damage from a Mythic plus affix than DPS does, right? Or at least like they take more than they would have taken if it was a flat damage. But this had a huge negative effect on Fury Warriors because we weren't tanks. We don't have the defensive capabilities of the tanks. Plus, we took more damage, right? So we had more HP, which meant we were taking more damage, just straight damage, because everything was HP percent based. And then we took additional bonus on top of that. So like there were you just got up to a point in affixes where a Fury Warrior just doesn't live something, even with the large amount of HP we had, right? Especially if it's constant ticking damage and it's max HP focused based. We're just screwed. So I think this is good. We can actually be picked for a Mythic Plus dungeon because we don't have this aspect working against us, right? I think a lot of people get caught up in only the DPS aspects that a DPS brings, but this is huge because I would literally, if I was making a Mythic Plus team in Legion, I would not bring a Fury Warrior because when you get high enough in the keys, they just start dying. And of course, there are some other stronger melee at the moment, but that's a whole nother thing. This was largely added to counteract the increased damage drawback that Enrage had. Okay, yeah, that's talking about the 50% increase. Great. Now Fury, we simply have the bonus of 8% more health than other non-tanks in the game, gear level. Due to being wielded... Oh, so we still have 8% more health than everybody? Alright, PogChamp. Cool. In terms of Enrage uptime, our current thought is we'd like to try targeting Enrage uptime to around 60%. Oh, no, why? They can't. No. That's really bad. So back to the first point about Enrage, right? Which I said, it feels really shitty when you lose Enrage. One way Blizzard can get around that is that if we kept staying enraged, then it won't be a problem, right? If we kept staying enraged and a haste kept being high, we won't feel that negative feeling that you're gonna get when you inevitably lose your enrage buff. If they're targeting 60% enrage uptime, you're losing that enrage buff every single time, by the way, right? You're gonna get enraged 4 seconds, lose it, get enraged back up in like 1 to 2 seconds, right? Actually like 2 seconds, because 60% means that, right, 40% of the time you're not enraged. That basically means enraged for 4 seconds, not enraged for like 2 seconds, enraged for 4 seconds, not enraged for 2 seconds. That's not good. Because it would have been okay if this was the only thing that came out, but because of what we know currently from this first part and just playing it now, that 60% I don't think is a good number. They should not do that. Also, if it's 60%, it kind of pushes our stats, I feel like, more towards versatility than mastery. I don't know if they're talking about like 60% for like the general public, and then like if you know what you're doing, you can get up to like 80%, 90%. That I'm hoping that's what they mean by when they say to 60%, but we'll see. And not growing wildly throughout the expansion as the gear improves. All right, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do that, but good luck to them if that's their goal. I think there exists a sweet spot for enraged uptime where it's not up so often that it's taken for granted and you don't have to think at all about playing around it, but also not so rare that it feels bad. I mean, okay. I mean, well, I'll probably make a video about this part, the haste when it loses its sucking after they make the change. I mean, we'll give them a chance to see what they come up with. But this part, this 60% worries me a little bit with the current version of Enrage. Unless they buff our Enrage damage. They can, but they're not. I don't think they will. because Enrage right now it's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? They can change the ratio, but I think that's something that Blizzard is not going to touch, right? They're just going to be, if you have 50% mastery, you're going to do 50% more damage in Enrage, right? That's like super easy to understand, right? You're just like, oh, well, that's super easy. Like, I have 60% mastery, I'm doing 60% more damage during Enrage, right? That's currently how it is in BFA. Not in Legion because you have artifact traits, but it's similar in Legion. It is the same in Legion, but you have artifact traits that increase that. Because Enrage uptime is a function of Enrage duration and rage generation, which is directly proportional to the time in between rampages. Okay. Enrage duration going up means uptime can get too high, which means in between rampages can get too high. Why would Enrage... No, that's not how people use Rampage. That's wrong. What? No. If I'm enraged the whole time and I have enough rage to use a Rampage, you bet your ass I'm using that Rampage, right? It does more damage than Raging Blow and Bloodthirst. Why would I not use the Rampage? No, you're telling me they hold the Rampage until they... No. That's the dumbest thing I've heard. Wait. Currently, Enrage uptime is back to 4 seconds, but rage generation has been increased significantly since this round of Fury changes. So the spec should feel much faster now, and the uptime on Enrage shouldn't feel slow. Yeah, but like, man, just Rampage is one of those abilities I wish they would just touch up because it feels really bad. Like, I don't think Blizzard realizes that there's something like technically is the wrong word, but what's a good word for like just the way that it's designed? It's not... Rampage isn't designed like any other ability, right? You hit Bloodthirst, your guy does the Bloodthirst damage, you're good, right? You hit Rampage, that's not what happens, right? I've said this many times before. When you hit Rampage, you actually do the 5 slashes, right? And it lasts longer than your global cooldown. So it actually using Rampages slows down the Fury Warrior rotation, and it actually feels bad when you're using too many Rampages. Even though, yes, they do the most amount of damage and you want to use them when they're up, if Blizzard is artificially trying to increase that, I don't think they realize what's happening. I actually don't think Blizzard knows that Rampage is buggy like that. Fundamentally, could be. But I don't mean that from just a thinking standpoint. I think Blizzard just doesn't know that Rampage takes longer to finish than your other abilities. Which, when we talk about pacing, that's where pacing gets weird again, because you're like all of your abilities have the same like global cooldown except for Rampage. It has a longer one, right? Raging Blow. Well, okay, this is not sure that, I guess it's not like that much longer. But there's a difference. So Raging Blow. Raging Blow now generates 12 rage. Wait, that's actually a lot of rage. Wait, was it 12 rage when I just played the game? It wasn't 12 rage, right? This is the change that's happening? Because that's huge. 12 rage is a lot. Yeah. I mean, Bloodthirst in BFA is going to only generate 8. Bloodthirst on live only generates 10. I think Raging Blow on live only generates 5? I think that's the number. I could be wrong on that, but 12 is definitely more than anything else that we've had. Has 2 charges, 7.5 second recharge, reduced by haste, great. Has a 20% chance to instantly reset its cooldown. Oh no! We already got nerfed! It hasn't even been a day! No! This was 25% just now, by the way. Yeah, it's not in the game yet. But when I just played the game, this was 25%. Fuck. It's already nerfed. And no longer requires Enrage to be usable. Great. It's more similar to the Enrage version than a live baseline version, where it has no cooldown but requires energy to be usable. Raging Blow is doing a lot of things for a spec here. All right, let's see what they think it does. Raging Blow was changed to fit together into Rampage and Bloodthirst, both of which we thought were good and didn't need any notable changes. Wait, what? I mean, they really, that's, they really like, it could be, I guess, hopefully it is a typo. But this is, this quotation thing is so annoying. Okay, this first bullet point is really weird. Wait, I just realized, why am I making this so fucking awkward for you guys? My bad. I guess let me know if you guys can't see shit. There we go. That might be too big. We'll do it like this. Let me just quit this so we can full screen this. All right. I don't understand this first bullet point because they're saying that Rampage and Bloodthirst they thought were good and didn't need any noticeable changes. That is so wrong, right? Bloodthirst actually is completely, I would say Bloodthirst has changed just as much as Raging Blow has been changed, right? Critting a Bloodthirst no longer enrages you. That's fucking huge. That's huge. That's huge, right? Because what that means is that technically, I think what Blizzard's going with that, which is true to the point that they were making before, where they want to make it so even if you're not geared, the spec still feels complete. And it feels like you can play the spec when you're not geared, which I think is a good direction. I think that I personally like that. I personally like it when somebody new to a game can pick up a class and be like, oh, this is how the class plays. I like this. Let me play more of this, right? And then they get endgame. It gets slightly stronger, but they're like, you know what? I had a good impression of what this spec was like before I devoted my time into it. And now that I got more geared, it's more of that, just better. Great. I like that, right? I enjoy that. So that's, you know, to diss on Black Desert Online. Black Desert Online does not do that, right? Like when you like awaken, right? When you get to like the higher level there, your playstyle completely changes, which I think is a bad way to go about it because I've invested all of this time to this character. Now that they're max level and in the end game, they no longer feel the same. That's weird. So I do like where they're going with the Bloodthirst. Like the idea for it is that, you know, if you just make something have a set chance to proc that's not affected by crit or anything, then yeah, then technically like the way that it's being played when you have no gear is going to be relatively like indicative of how it's going to be played when you do have really good gear. Now, of course, haste does matter, right? Obviously, when you have higher haste, you're going to get more Bloodthirst out, which means you have more chances to, you know, proc the Enrage. But do know that it is now a proc. Also, they nerfed the rage generation of Bloodthirst, right, by 2, like I mentioned earlier. So him saying this, I'm just like, did you see this? Did you see the changes that you guys made yourselves? Because that's not true. And then of course they buffed the shit out of Rampage, just the damage wise, but mechanically it's the same. So I guess you could say that Rampage is probably the one that didn't see the most, that didn't see the Rampage is probably the ability that saw the least amount of changes. Next bullet also triggered me. Oh shit, I haven't read it yet. Being usable while only enraged meant you very frequently pushed it multiple times in a row for 5 rage each time, which didn't feel super engaging. Sure. I mean, I'm not gonna point any fingers, but I feel like that's Blizzard's fault. With their spell casting Q thing, but all right, whatever. Which you are, I guess. I mean, this didn't happen that much unless you just didn't care. I feel like so. I guess that's the only thing I can say about this bullet point is that like, yeah, like sometimes you hit like a 3rd raging blow, but like I don't think it was that big of a deal. And I don't understand how does that even make sense? How does being usable only in rage which meant you frequently used it multiple times. How does the current version prevent that? You can still do that. Like, right now I can do it even more. Now I can do it when I'm not enraged. Right now I can like hit bloodthirst and then hit 2 raging blows in a row when I didn't mean to do it at all times. There's nothing that stops me, right? Because it doesn't have this enrage requirement. So I don't understand this. Actually, now I read it that way. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. You can still do this. Having 2 charges baseline felt better, as a version with either 6 or 7.5 second cooldown, but no charges meant it collided with bloodthirst cooldown very frequently, which did not feel good. Additionally, charges on Raging Blow is sort of the only actual resource you manage on the spec, since Rage is technically a resource, but only spent on Rampage and nothing else. Okay. I mean, I would say cooldowns is another resource you manage because Bloodthirst and Raging Blow have cooldowns, but and now Execute has a cooldown, so having a 20% and Enrage is a mechanic you worry about. But you know, having a 20% chance to reset itself is the random proc. Wait, having a 20% chance. So I don't think it's a typo if they keep typing 20, or maybe, I guess hopefully the 25 was added later and it's still 25, but I'm just going to assume that it already got nerfed to 20% because I feel like 25% was pretty high. So let's just assume that it got nerfed to 20% within a day. All right. Was there anything else I missed in that sentence? As amount of is the random proc on the baseline spec that adds an amount of unpredictably into the rotation. Okay. I don't know if Blizzard. I'm fine with it, but I feel like they think this is a good point. But to a lot of people, that isn't a good point because that was the whole thing. I feel like the essence of Fury versus Arms in Legion was that Fury was less unpredictable. Fury was much more predictable. Like, I can plan out my abilities, like 8 abilities in advance, right? I can plan out what I'm going to do like a minute and 30 or 30 seconds ahead of time with Fury. So that is different. I'm not necessarily saying like that's bad. I just want to put out there that that is different, right? I feel like that's a different direction of where I thought Fury was at in Legion. That bullet made me think that devs are spamming the crap out of RB. They probably were. They probably just spammed the shit out of their keyboards. Fear Slash. Fear Slash didn't really find its place on the spec. It's a no cooldown free filler that didn't feel greater press. Okay, that sentence something else. Largely as a direct result being the lowest priority / impact ability by design. The version of Fear Slash you're seeing this week is the first iteration where we try giving it more tie-ins to your core rotation / mechanics. Generate 3 rage, has 10% chance to trigger Enrage. I think it's... Why are all his numbers different? Wasn't it 4? I'm pretty sure it was 4 when I just played it. Playing this version some more internally, we thought the button felt better. No. But still didn't feel great to press. Of course not, it's a filler. Additionally, it overlaps some with Whirlwind. Well, yeah, if you're AoEing, you don't hit Fear Slash, which is also a baseline no cooldown free filler. Yeah, but one is a filler for AoE, one is a filler for single target. I think we're okay with that. Like, I don't think anybody's out here banging on doors going, ah shit, Blizzard, why do we use Whirlwind and AoE and Fury Slash and single target? I don't think that's a problem. So we're going to try removing Fear Slash baseline. Wait, so we're going to try removing Fear Slash baseline and making Whirlwind the baseline filler and single target. Why? But why? Who asked for that? Whirlwind has the benefit of having better audio / visual feedback and generally feeling better to press. But that's on them. You can make Fear Slash look and sound however you want. Okay. It's also just fits the fantasy of a whirling blade master and berserker pretty well. Unless your target is now CC'd in PvP, you can no longer press a fucking ability because your single target fucking AoEs. It would generate 3 rage plus 1 additional. So that's, I think I saw this. Now this is huge. I will say this is huge. Whirlwind generating 3 rage plus 1 additional per target hit, up to a maximum 8 rage. That's really good. I will give them that. That is something that I think people have been asking for Fury and throughout Legion for a long time. Is that our rage generation in AOE was just abysmal, right? Because Whirlwind didn't give you AOE, any rage, right? And obviously in AOE you weren't pressing Radiant Blow a lot of the times, so you were just stuck with low rage. So I think this is actually really good. So props on that. I think I felt it. I think even though like when I was looking at it just now on the beta, like I didn't have it on the, like when I hover over Whirlwind and didn't say this, I think they actually added this in because like there were some packs where like, oh, AoE, and I'm like, why the fuck is my rage like half full already? Like I didn't hit anything that generated rage. So I think this actually was already in, and I felt like I felt it, and it actually feels good on so how many targets do you need? You need 3 rage plus 1 additional per target hit. So you just need 5 targets, right? 5 targets, okay. So same thing as Meat Cleaver, I guess. You want, as a Fury Warrior, you just want to AoE 5 targets, basically. Next expansion. Any fights with 5 targets, we're gonna be top DPS. This is intended to also speed up the AoE rotation. Okay, good. Spirit Slash is being merged together with Frenzy talent and becoming a talent in the slot without the new experimental 10% chance to trigger Enrage. Wait. So they're gonna take Furious Slash out and they're gonna make you pick a talent to get Furious Slash? They better make that talent pretty fucking good, because who's gonna pick that? It's gone. We're Whirlwind now. We're literally just becoming arms warriors at this point. All right, Whirlwind's Meat Cleaver effect. Whirlwind will now cause your next 2 single target attacks to gain the effect of striking up to 40% damage for 40%. Oh, or there's no target for 40% damage. With the changes to Raging Blow, it made sense to add Raging Blow to the effect, but at that point, the only thing not included was Execute and Furious Slash, so we added them to watch out, arms warriors. We are going to be the king of Avatar now. Holy shit. Oh, I mean, don't waste it on Furious Slash, of course, but the Execute, we're gonna execute 5 targets at once. Oh my god, that's so fucking PogChamp. Holy shit. This one change, I think, just made Fury the best DPS in Mythic Plus. Oh my god. Holy shit, Blizzard. Oh, this is good. All right, they're turning around here. Oh my god. Execute being a race bender caused it to wait, what? There's, I think, this guy typed it an hour ago, right? Like, okay, he probably typed this shit as he was like leaving the office. So I'll excuse some of his typos because the change for Meat Cleaver was very, very good. But give me a sec as I process some sentences that might not be written in the best way. I'm gonna guess caused it to replace. Okay, execute being a race bender caused it to replace Rampage entirely during execute range. Yes, that's true. Against enemies below 20% health. You're trying a version of execute where it has a short 6-second cooldown and generate 20 rage instead of spending it, so that it adds your rotation and helps fuel your rampages rather than replacing one of your core bonus. In the current design of the spec, it feels more correct for Rampage to remain the almighty and only rage spender, and execute to be a more support role rather than the spam rage spender, even if you deal similar damage to Rampage on paper, because execute is available less frequently and Rampage enrages you. Yeah, I'm okay with the current version of execute and BFA. That's fine with me, especially if it AoEs. Like, that's all right. We're on it. Recklessness. With Enrage no longer coming from bloodthirst critical strikes, and instead coming from bloodthirst at a consistent 30% rate. The spec no longer has a core critical strike mechanic. It made less sense to have 100% critical strike chance as Fury's baseline cooldown. No! We weren't using 100% crit to crit bloodthirst. We were using 100% crit to do massive damage. That's not why we like... What? No. Blizzard, you can't... Okay, they should have ended with this. Like, they should have ended it with this. Don't end with this. I mean, come on. You can't do this to us, Blizzard. They're really gonna end it with the biggest nerf. Like, come on. They know what they're doing, right? You wish you can clip the entire blue post? Oh, don't worry, you can. It's my bots. Okay. Where were we? I think we were at this sentence. Okay. Thinking about it more, 100% critical strike chance would make more sense as arms cool down. What? No, fuck arms. Why? Why? No. Because that spec is slower paced and more about setting up for a few larger hits. Fury is currently much more about flurries of many smaller hits, speed, haste, rage generation. That end, Fury's cooldown turning into double rage generation from all sources made more sense both in terms of feel, theme, and gameplay. No. Yeah. Some critical strike chance for flavor. Fuck the... Just don't give me... Why? Just don't even give me the critical strike chance. Give me like 20% mastery or some shit. Get rid of that crit. I don't want that shit. I don't want their pity crit chance. Shit. Both in terms of feel, theme, and gameplay. As a huge side note, one of the upsides of Fury's resource model is that it can support a huge amount of burst / temporarily increased resource income in a way that feels great. Something many other specs can't do as well. Wait, what? Sorry, what? That sentence was too long for me. What? What? Blizzard is really... Okay, Blizzard. They make it too easy. They make it too easy to just be like, why the fuck did you do that, right? Literally the paragraph right before it says, Fury is currently much more about flurries of many smaller hits, speed, and rage generation, right? Or let me go back one sentence before actually and continue that way. Thinking about it, the crit would make more sense for arms because that spec is slower paced and much more about setting up for fewer larger hits. What is a synonym for fewer larger hits? Fucking burst, right? As a side note, one of the Fury's resource model is that it can support a huge amount of burst / temporarily increased resource income. Wait, so is Fury burst or is Fury more consistent damage? Because I'm getting two very conflicted things, right? Well, they first were like, we're gonna take this thing away from you because you shouldn't be bursting. Oh, by the way, since you're bursting anyways, we're gonna do this. Like, wow, my God. Okay, because Rampage spends 85% of the rage bar, we're consciously leaning into this more with the reckless mechanics changes. I don't even understand what the fuck that means. Like, what are they saying with that? Right? They're saying that they can support bursting in a way that feels great. Something other specs can't do as well. But I don't understand. They just said that they don't want us doing that. So like, literally in one paragraph, they're saying that we shouldn't do that. And the next one is saying that we're one of the few specs that can do that. And I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck? Right? Actually, if you take this paragraph's reasoning and what they said here, and you apply it to the paragraph before, that actually should be... Fury should actually be the one with the 100% crit hit chance. Arms should be the one with the 20% crit hit chance and the rage generation. Why? Well, Arms needs the rage generation because the rage generation sucks compared to Fury, right? We should get the 100% crit because we're all about bursting, like they said right here, right? Because we spent all of our rage at once. So just make sure that we have to make sure that shit crits. So it's really worth it to spend all of that rage. So actually, Blizzard, you should give us 100% crit chance and give arms 20%. Then now we're good.